Welcome to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be looking at AVAX. There is a higher time frame video above here, so check it out if you want more context on the waves we're going to be talking about today. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so before we get into the bullish and the bearish counts here, I just want to go over something that has invalidated. We were talking about this possibility of looking at this as an A, B, and a C to the upside here with a B wave as a triangle here. Now, because of the fact that this C wave actually crossed this A wave here, this is no longer viable, so I'm going to remove that from the counts. Now, what we were talking about is a couple of things here. So we were discussing the potential that what we could actually see is something like this is a bigger diagonal from further back here where we have a wave 1, looking for this as a wave 2 and looking to break down for a bigger third wave. So this is still on the cards here. We could also argue that instead we had a triangle from further back here where this is A, B, C, D, E. In which case what we could actually have here is still have this E wave triangle play out. Now, if we look at this as an E wave triangle, the fact that this B wave broke this D wave here, I would not actually invalidate this triangle count at this point, because effectively the E wave will be wherever this ends over here. So this would be allowed within the count here. So if we see this as a triangle that's actually developing within this E wave over here, what we would then be looking for is the potential that we could still see a 3-wave move up for a C, 3-wave move down for a D, and another 3-wave move up here for an E wave. So this would be looking at this as a bigger triangle from further back here and would actually indicate that we're going to see continuation to the downside after this point. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this. If we do just remain range bound here within these areas here and we fail to break back above this 2160 or below this point here of this 1374, technically speaking, we could actually still be within the triangle. The other way that we're talking about is that the E wave could actually complete here and we could be starting to break down directly. So we need to be aware that there is a potential that we could see a breakdown from this point. So if we are looking at that possibility of a breakdown from that point, what we'd be looking for effectively would be something like this, where actually within this count we'd be looking for this move to start to extend to the downside. Now, the way I'm currently looking at this is as this is a 1, 2 here, looking at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So at the moment, this is just an ABC pattern. So this is just a 3-wave move. We don't have a confirmation of a bigger impulse here. What we want to see here is if we actually fail to take this high again here of the 1789, and we just get a 3-wave move up into the zone of this 1686 to this 1514, what we could actually see is continuation to the downside and a bigger third wave here. Now, what we'd want to see here, if this is the case, is we'd want to see a 3-wave move to the upside here, looking for a rejection, and then actually looking to break to the downside, looking for this third wave lower down here. Now, I've got some areas that I'm going to turn on here, so some naked points of control. So these are some daily ones. The red ones are daily ones. The weekly one is this yellow one here. So we can see that there's a little bit of confluence here. There's a daily naked point of control right on this 382 sitting towards this 1514. So if we just see a 3-wave move to the upside here, I'd be interested to see how we react around these levels here to see whether we actually look to continue to progress to the downside. Alternatively, if we do look to push up higher here, this golden pocket area here could actually align with actually coming back and retesting all 3 of these naked points of control here. And if we did have to get a bigger push to the upside, even to the 786 at the 1686, this could tie into that idea of coming back into these as well. So gonna have to keep an eye on this area. This could be quite an interesting zone. As well as that, if I just turn on this local range here, what we can see here is that we below this point of this invalidation, we do also have this point of control, which is sitting towards this area here of the 1739. So if we did see a move up here in 3 waves, I would still be on the lookout for that potential that we could extend to the downside. Now, this would be a little bit higher than the 786 here, so we'll have to just keep an eye on it. Obviously, if we start to break and consolidate above the 786, it becomes less likely we're going to see that continuation to the downside. So this is looking at that possibility of actually seeing a breakdown and actually looking to lose these lows of this 1054, eventually looking more for this target area around this 1013 to this 941. So that would be looking at that breakdown potential. Now, really, until we actually take this low point, we can't rule out that idea that we could actually see price action looking to push to the upside, where we could see this is just A, B, and then looking for that bigger C wave to the upside. So that was looking at this move slightly different. So what we have to see here is whether we actually continue to face rejection. If we actually look to break back to the upside and cross this 1822, what we could then potentially see is the fact that this could just be W, X, and Y, where this has been ABC, ABC, ABC for a Y wave. Now this has brought us back into that golden pocket area that we were talking about previously. It's 1381 to this 1415 area. So it is important to see what happens from this point. If we continue to hold this range as a support, we could actually start to look to the upside. Now what we'd be looking for here would actually be a higher target here of this 1-to-1, which would be sitting here towards this 2943. So this would be looking at this as potentially an A, B, and a C wave to the upside. Now this could always turn into an impulsive structure if we do get a move up towards this zone here of this 1618 at this 4739. If we do see a push up here, this would then make us look for an additional fourth wave around this zone of this 2943 before looking for continuation to the upside in a fifth wave towards a 6365 to this 5306 area. So this is what we'd be looking for if we're looking for that bullish potential off the back of this. We also can't rule out the idea that we are looking for that diagonal pattern from further back here, and what I'm looking out for is that if we see something more along these lines, where we treat this as an ABC for 1, this is a wave 2, ABC for 3. What we could actually see here is a 3-wave move to the upside for a 4th wave and a 3-wave move down for a 5th wave. Now this would be looking at this pattern as a diagonal. Now if we had to see a diagonal in this area like we have shown here, this would mean that this could either be A or wave 1. So what we would then be looking for is the potential to see a 3-wave move to the upside. So the key zone here is going to be this 1917 to the 1690. If we complete this as a diagonal pattern and we only see a 3-wave move to the upside, we could actually see price action continue to break down towards this 1-to-1 area, which would be sitting here at this 1059. So I would be keeping an eye on this. If we do continue to break down after this point in a 5-wave move, this could tie into that idea of looking for that bigger diagonal pattern, which would look something along these lines. Now that would tie into the idea of us looking for this as a 3rd wave here, and what we would want to see here is that price action could not actually move longer than this wave 1 here. So what we'd be looking for effectively would be that price action could not move below this $7.73. If we saw move below the $7.73, it would mean that we can't look at this as a potential diagonal anymore. So this diagonal here would be actually the A wave of this A, B, and the C to the downside. Now that 1-to-1 would actually look to bring us up lower here. So this would be possibly more towards this 0.618 area, but what I'd want to see is actually a break of this wave 1 low if we are looking at this as a diagonal pattern. So we're gonna have to just give it a bit of space and see what happens here, but there is that potential that we could see price action look to break down. Now if we are arguing rather that we are looking for a break to the upside, what we would want to see here is that we'd want to see price action starting to break above some of these key levels. Now at the moment we just have a 3-wave move to the upside, so there's nothing too exciting here, but there is potential here that we could be looking to extend out. And now the way that I'd be looking at that is the fact that we could actually be looking for a breakout from this level. Now what we'd want to see here effectively is something like this, where this becomes a 1-2, then we'd be looking for this as a secondary 5-wave move, looking for this as another 1-2. So the key target here that we want to move above is the 1610. If we are looking at this as a simple 5-wave move like I have it here, we need to be careful because this can just be A, B, and C. But what I'm looking out for here is that if we do get this additional 5-wave structure up here, looking to target out this 1512 to this $15 area, what we could then see is that potential to come back down and retest these levels again, looking for a wave 2. Now if this wave 2 came down to this 618, what we'd be looking for as a 3rd wave target would be the 1633. So what we'd be then looking for after that is actually a 4th and a 5th for the 1685 to the 1652. This would then mean that this 3rd wave from this previous structure here, where this is 1-2, this 3rd wave would be within this range, and then we'd be looking for an additional 4th and a 5th. So we need to be on the lookout for that possibility of extension here. Now obviously within the waves as well, if we are looking at this as a 1-2 and looking at this as a 3rd, there is always potential that we could have something like this as 1-2, 1-2, 1 2, and then we look to just break directly up without getting that bigger break to the downside, but there's nothing really indicating it at the moment. I would still be looking at this as my preferred count here. Now, what we need to be careful of is that if we're looking at this in this way, we could also argue that within here we could count this 1 2 3 4 and 5. Now, it's possible we could get a truncation like this, but you know, it's dangerous to say that we have a truncation, because really until we actually take this low, this could then become 1 2, and then we see 3 4 5, and it actually looks to push up even higher here. So need to just be aware of that. Now, if this is a 1 2 and we're looking to push up directly here for that third wave, what we'd actually be looking for as a third wave target would be this 1511. Then we'd be looking for an additional push to the downside before a continuation to the upside. If we had to complete in this way, what we'd be looking for would be a little bit higher than this target area, which would be this 1520 to this 1514. And then what we want to see is a break of this fourth wave. Really, until we break some of these swing lows that we have here, this could continue to extend out, where this could be a 1 2 here, and then we get a bigger 5-wave move, and then it becomes a bigger third wave within here, and then there's another 1 2 3 4 5, and then so on and so forth. And that's how we get the extensions within the waves. But primarily what I'm looking for is the potential that we get a push up one more time here for this fifth wave before looking for that continuation to the downside again here in a retracement, and then looking for this next move to play out as a bigger 5-wave structure. Now, if we do get something like this as a bigger 5-wave move, what we could get is that this actually effectively becomes our A wave, we get a B wave down, and then we see a C wave to the upside. So this would still tie into that idea of the triangle here. We just need to see exactly how these legs develop until we actually get a break above those key highs that we talked about earlier. So this one here of this 1773 and this 1826, I would just be careful of that potential for this bigger breakdown where this becomes a 1 and a 2. So really, until we start to see significant breaks above this 1686, I would be pretty much looking at these moves to the upside as possibly just relief rallies before continuation to the downside. Looking at the weekly CPR here, we can see that we are currently actually sitting above these central CPR lines. If we continue to hold this zone, what we could see is price be gravitated towards this S1 line at this 1524, this S2 line at this 1568, or this S3 line at this 1638 region. Now, as well as that, if we see price action start to lose these, we could see as price actually move down towards this R1 line of this 1409, this R2 of this 1337, or this R3 of this 1294. So this would be something we're looking at as possible confluence points within the weekly CPR. Now, looking at the monthly CPR, what we can see is that we are currently finding support on this bottom line. If we had to get a move up towards the central line and face rejection, what this could actually mean is that we could see price be gravitated towards this R1 line at this 1264, this R2 line at this 1117, or even much deeper down here, this R3 line at this 862. So this would be looking for that bearish case where we're actually looking to break down in a bigger way. Alternatively, if we do manage to get back above these CPR lines, what we could see is a test of this S1 at the 1666, which would still be within our rejection area, this S2 at this 1920, and this S3 at this 2068. So I would be keeping an eye on this. If we do reject off of this, it could be a sign of weakness and we could actually see price start to sell off. However, if we do get back above it, we could actually start to argue that potential of that breakout situation taking place here. Looking at the Ichimoku cloud on the 4-hourly, we can see that we've actually managed to break above this. If we do actually get a retracement to the downside, I would be looking at the potential to find support around this 1430 area. If we do manage to flip this into support, what we could see is price actually continue to rally to the upside here. However, we need to also bear in mind that on the 8-hourly, we can see that we've just touched into this, and at the moment we have a reaction off of here. If we fail to develop good structure here, this could actually just be ABC, and then we see a continuation and a sell-off from this point. So we need to just be aware of that. We are looking for that potential of a bigger wave 2 here, but if we fail to actually push up there, it could be that we just get a reaction off of this and we sell off to the downside directly. Now, as well as that, if we come here onto the daily, we can also see that higher up here we have this level of the 1714. So if we do look to push up in a bigger 5-wave structure or in a bigger 3-wave move, something like this where we form an A, B, and a C, I would still be very cautious around this daily cloud area. Now this daily cloud sitting towards this area here of the 1725. Now if we saw something like this would actually probably tie in more to the idea of this diagonal pattern, where we would actually be looking for that potential of coming back into this cloud and retesting it. So I would be keeping an eye on this. If we do see this as just a 3-wave move to the upside, looking for this $17 area, we could actually see price action reject from this and look to break to the downside, though the cloud is not very big at the moment, so it wouldn't take much to actually break through this. But I would be just on the lookout. Even if we do look at this as a diagonal, another target area we can look for is this yellow zone up here, this 1844 to this 1819. So if we do see a 3-wave move up here, this would actually tie into coming back into the daily cloud at the top here. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.